After a much wetter than usual October, November greets Rotorua with a full-scale storm. The gale causes loss of trees and property damage. There's even a report of a swirling tornado in Western Heights. The Daily Post records the aftermath. With elections over, it's business as usual at the District Council. Kevin Winter has been appointed to the all-important Works Committee, which is chaired by Glynis Sarank.
I think it's the committee that is the real core business of council. She's got the biggest budget. It certainly spends the money, it does the work, and engineers are very practical people, as you know. They like to get on with the job. They love to get projects finished, and definitely, there's no doubt about it, it's what most people see for their rates is handled by the Infrastructure Committee, or Works, whichever you like. It's got its new fancy name now, but Works and Infrastructure, same committee.
Glynis has also won a seat on the District Health Board, but not as chairman. That's been a government appointment, and Stuart Edward got the nod earlier in the year. His first task will be to start rebuilding morale at Rotorua Hospital and try to heal the growing rift between hospital management and clinicians brought about by years of financial stringencies.
One of the first things that I did was to ask Cathy Cooney whether she would be comfortable with me going round with other board members and just going to all the sectors of the hospital and just having an open session to hear what they had to say. And it was very revealing what was said. It was clear that the clinical staff were very upset with the system, with the way they were being treated, and the outcomes that they were having to deal with. So it was a matter of dealing to that and establishing a relationship with the clinical staff right from day one, to understand, to have an empathy with what the clinical staff were doing, particularly in the hospital. And so the relationship was key. Then you get down to and funding was a key part of their difficulties, of course, because they had to do with less staff, they had to do with less resources, less facilities, and so it goes.
But for now, in the last weeks of the Interim Health Board, a decision has been taken that will make a major change to the landscape of Pukeroa Hill as the demolition begins of the once proud building that was the nurses' home. But as Rotorua moves into December and gears up for another summer high season, despite persistent wet weather, the mood of the city is upbeat. 2001 has been a year of growth and redevelopment. There has been $80 million invested in commercial and residential building work. During the year, Gull Petrol and Starbucks Coffee have come to town. Tamaki Tours have weathered the red tape problems to open their new centre in Hinamaru Street. Central Mall has a new supermarket and added Mitre 10 and Payless to its growing list of tenants. At the Ohau Channel, a complex of holiday condominiums is almost finished. A couple of large new motels are appearing on Fenton Street, and work has begun on what will be the new Community Arts Centre on the corner of Hinamaru and Hinimoa Streets. Out in the suburbs, some Rotorua residents join the countrywide trend and expend cash, time and creativity to turn their entire homes into a celebration of Christmas spirit. The year of optimism is further buoyed by this announcement from the RDC, which should answer critics claiming that lack of suitable industrial land is hindering local progress. Just opposite the airport, the proposed Eastgate Business Park will provide 22 hectares for light industry. But you can't please everyone. There is a complaint that such business parks are 50 years out of date and will simply produce a sprawling mass of tin sheds. Maybe it's the weather. By mid-December, there have been 13 straight wet weekends. With the advent of December, the Rotorua high season for tourism is now in full swing. Considering the events overseas earlier in the year, business is surprisingly good and includes a good number of visitors from the United States. But there are warnings to expect a downturn next year. On December 20th, a sombre note is introduced to Christmas festivities as the Daily Post records the passing of a great Te Arawa leader and churchman. Manahuia Bennett, the former Anglican Bishop of Aotearoa, has died at the age of 85. Both local newspapers pay tribute to a lifetime of service to the tribe and the community. Dignitaries from around the country attend the tangi at Tamati Kapua. The Daily Post carries a pictorial of Te Arawa's farewell to the man many knew as Uncle Manu. During the year, Rotorua has lost some other significant figures. Among them, Frank Lord, long-time fishing guide and angling store proprietor who passed in August at the grand age of 95. Also in the same month, Rex Forrester, a classic outdoorsman, pioneer of hunting and fishing for the tourist market and a passionate promoter of Rotorua. In October it was Brett McGee, a shepherd and stockman who became a showman and entertained thousands at the Agrodome. And now it's almost time to farewell 2001. It was a year which began with much promise, and yet delivered a sobering reminder of how suddenly events can change the world. For Rotorua, 2001 provided plenty of positives. But now, as the end of the year approaches, there are high hopes for a 2002 that will be even better.